All right, Saagar, what are you looking at?
There's been a lot written about Elon Musk's interview with Tucker Carlson, almost none of it having to do with the interview, and most about going on the show in the first place. But perhaps the most interesting part focused on AI and the original motivations for Elon's involvement with OpenAI in the past, and sparked by a shocking conversation with the co-founder of Google, Larry Page, that he revealed. Let's take a listen.
I mean, the reason OpenAI exists at all is that Larry Page and I used to be close friends, and I would stay at his house in Palo Alto, and I would talk to him late into the night about AI safety. And at least my perception was that Larry was not taking AI safety seriously enough.
What did he say about it?
He really seemed to be one sort of digital superintelligence, basically digital God, if you will, as soon as possible.
He wanted that?
Yes. He's made many public statements over the years that the whole goal of Google is what's called AGI, artificial general intelligence, or artificial superintelligence. You know, and I agree with him that there's great potential for good, but there's also potential for bad. And so if you've got some radical new technology, you want to try to take a set of actions that maximize the probability it will do good and minimize the probability it will do bad things.
There's a lot going on there. So Larry Page wants to create a digital god without regard for its possible effect on humanity. This is terrifying. And now that we've seen multiple stories of large language model programs like ChatGPT and Bing Sydney do just weird and bonkers stuff like try to make a journalist fall in love with them or make up sexual assault allegations against someone, all of us can kind of agree we do need control over AI. The problem is that when we say control, not all of us are agreeing on the same thing. For example, here is Elon's view of what is wrong with AI and specifically ChatGPT.
The intention with OpenAI was obviously to do good, but it's not clear whether it's actually doing good or whether it's, I can't tell at this point, except that I'm worried about the fact that it's being trained to be politically correct, which is simply another way of being saying untruthful things.
Yes.
So that's a bad sign. There's certainly a path to AI dystopia.
So there's more in that interview where Elon talks about how OpenAI is now closed. It's a multi-billion-dollar organization with Microsoft for profit. It lays out the case actually pretty well. And in fact, the objection is that AI is not programmed to be truthful enough and has political correctness hardwired into it. Now imagine a world where you do go to a future Google or a Bing for an answer to your question, and you get one that seems right, but is actually completely distorted version of the truth, vetted for you by the mainstream media and the politically correct. Now, we already live in a reality that somewhat resembles that, but the internet at least empowers some of us to fight back. This would simply completely solidify total control for them. The problem that we really have, though, is that when the other side talks about AI safety and regulation, they don't actually care about any of this. In fact, their objection is that ChatGPT and AI is not politically correct enough, and they actually want the government to set the terms exactly of how politically correct they should be. Take the new so-called AI Bill of Rights. It's been released by the Biden administration recently. The document lays out the Biden administration's vision of how AI should be governed, including, quote, safe and effective systems, algorithmic discrimination, data privacy, notice and explanation, human alternatives, consideration, and fallback. On their face, all those sound fine like corporate speak, but the one that immediately raises my eyebrow is algorithmic discrimination? Let's read further. Like clockwork, the first sentence of the document includes the buzzword du jour, equity. If you have not yet heard of equity, I encourage you all to go watch my previous monologue on Tuesday about how it effectively, in many cases, entails being so woke you're racist, forcing people towards desired social outcomes. But let's continue. Sentence number 2 reads, quote, algorithmic discrimination occurs when automated systems contribute to unjustified different treatment or impacts disfavoring people based on their race, color, ethnicity, sex, including pregnancy, childbirth, related medical conditions, gender identity, intersex status, sexual orientation, religion, age, national origin, disability, veteran status, genetic information, or any other possible classification protected by law. Quite a mouthful. I'm glad that they fit all of them in there now. Now, this is per the Biden administration how AI should, quote, include proactive equity assessments as part of the system design and would constantly need to be independently evaluated by the government to ensure that companies are producing equitable AI outcomes. In other words, that's social engineering. That's more political correctness. That is some sort of weird 1984 language board full of nonprofits and governments who get to decide which group is now not allowed to be criticized and then program that into AI. This is what they mean when they say regulation. If you didn't want more evidence of what the left establishment actually wants for the new AI regime, look at this. This is a new declaration from Open Philanthropy. It's a technology nonprofit. It's funded by several left-aligned multi-billionaires in Silicon Valley. Some of their new propositions for AI regulation sound fine, like software export controls, but some hint at total dystopia. One proposition, for example, is to have some sort of government-implanted chip inside AI systems. The chip would monitor the AI at all times and shut it off if they deem it to be going off-reg. Now again, you can actually see a world where that could be justified, but you could also see one where it'd be one of the greatest tools for control ever devised. Number 4, too, is about licensing all companies that want to work on AI, create some sort of registry. Here again, we have an easily gameable system. Consider we already have 2 of the largest companies on planet Earth competing in this space, Microsoft and Google. You think they won't fight tooth and nail to make sure they're the only ones with a license? Note, I am just trying to poke holes in every argument here. I don't have any idea what to think. On the one hand, I am terrified of a Matrix-like scenario, unchecked AI and unchecked power. On the other, terrified of some oligarchic arrangement where a few tech companies controlled by the government and the nonprofit industrial complex have a monopoly on information and use it to push their social agenda on the American people and really the world. They're equally terrifying to me. And my view is one I've laid out here yesterday, but I see very few people pushing for. AI should be pro-human, should have enforcement mechanisms within them to ensure they're always working towards a tool, not towards supplant us. I think AI should be required to stay within the bounds of the First Amendment here in the United States, and only the First Amendment. Should also be required not to deviate from it. In other words, no equity manipulation nonsense. The truth and robust actual competition, meaning rigorous antitrust enforcement to ensure that what happened to the internet from 1990 to 2010 doesn't ever happen again. Centralized control of the next generation of tech in the hands of very few in the ideologically captured. Personally, I really don't think that's going to happen. The most likely scenario is the one that really exists today. Social media and tech, total ideological regulatory capture, effective control over the most powerful sector of the economy. But at the very least, let's hope and try to make sure that it doesn't go that way again. Because if it does, we could really all be in for a bad time. It's really hard, Crystal, right? Because you could see there's downsides to everything.
Hey guys, ready or not, 2024 is fully upon us now, and Saagar and I have been brainstorming ways that we can really up our game for this critical election.
Yeah, we rely on our premium subs to expand our coverage, to add staff, to upgrade the studio. We just want to give you the best independent coverage of this election, which is possible. So if you can help us out, become a premium subscriber today, breakingpoints.com, or the link is down here in the description video. It really means the world to us, and if you like what we're all about, this is the best possible way to keep us 100% independent, working only for you.